All right, boys. I think we're going live. I just got a lot of crap on my phone. It says please stand by still, but give it a second.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
it should be. Yeah, now it. Yeah, it changed now.
to me, right?
It's telling me our stream status is good and we are on you.
Perfect.
There
Now,
we
I
are.
guess
I can see you, but it's again with a couple of seconds delay.
that's totally fine. I mean, here's my main thing is this: we gotta be minimizing that or muting that broadcast, so me, and Davey Boy can talk.
Yep, I already did that.
David, did you mute your YouTube?
Yeah, I just did that.
Okay. So I guess before you do that, though, if one of you don't mind unmuting, can you hear us when we talk? Like, can you hear you guys 100%? That's really important.
I can hear Josh and you.
Yep,
That is what
I can hear everyone.
Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and I'm going to stop my camera because there's really no reason for me to be on camera, right?
Yeah, and I can't seem to add our slate at the moment, so a learning experience. We'll have to figure out how to do that as we go forward here.
Absolutely. You know what? Just to be a really nice guy, I'm going to keep myself on camera because everyone loves me. So no, I'm just kidding. I'm stopping. All right. Oh, cool. Now it says "Why so serious?" Our little icons right in the middle of the page.
All right. I like it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hello, everyone. For anyone who's already here, this is the first ever episode of the Why So Serious podcast. I'm Josh, aka Cronin, here with Zach, aka Abstract66, and David. And we are starting out a new magic-related podcast on YouTube here. Hopefully running everything live. It'll be a learning experience as we go, but hopefully we can get some live interaction with people.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all really excited about it, and David has been a long-time guest on all of our running podcast on the less established, less cool websites out there that we've been on in the past. But now we're ready. We're doing our own thing. We're ready to branch out. We're ready to really make this a brand, and yeah, we're all really excited about it. David,
you can also refer to my AKA as Let's Play Retro in the future.
Yeah.
That's my other YouTube channel. So
yeah, David, so you can check out his channel. It's German.
Check it out, but it's all German. So
yeah, Let's Play Retro in German. I like it. It's very handsome. So,
but that's where your videos that we have on our YouTube account are hosted as well, right? So you have some English content on there.
There's some, but there will be more. I will in the future post all my English content on our personal YouTube account, the Why So Serious podcast.
Absolutely, and with that being said, I think we should take a moment here and kind of do some personal intros and what we're all about. And I'll go ahead and start just because I've kind of been on the YSO side from episode 1, and we're now switching over to the Why So Serious. So we've done over 160 episodes on purely. We started out as a classic related podcast. We eventually turned into a vintage related podcast over time. It turned into one of those things where classic found itself being let out behind the barn and shot. So it got replaced with vintage, and now we're all kind of really going forward with really everything from vintage to limited to modern. Not many of us play standard, but we will talk about it. And yeah, my experience as a player is I'm currently the captain for our clan, which is Clan Magic Eternal. We have probably 8 active members. I mean, we have about 30 plus members, but not that many play. It's really only been David, Josh, and myself, and Chubby Rain, and a couple of others who've been active in the vintage tournaments. I have experience in the classic tournaments. We've had some classic leagues that I've won. I've won some DEs, and 4-0'd a bunch of vintage DEs lately. But as far as like real tournament experience goes, like sanctioned stuff, I don't have a ton. But I'm highly rated and limited and constructed, so I typically know what I'm talking about. But yeah, we should probably switch this over to David because David has a real pedigree. David, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I'm David, and I played in the 2014 mocks in San Francisco. the real life tournament in person. And yeah, while I didn't do quite well there, I did well in some other tournaments. I also came in 11th place on a Grand Prix, just 1 point shy of debating. And yeah, I generally play some more paper magic than Zach and Josh do. I think they don't play any paper magic at all. But yeah, I occasionally play FNM and PPDQs and whatever, trying to get on the Pro Tour and yeah, taking it more or less seriously. But I think Zach also takes it quite seriously. So
Oh, I take it really, really seriously, but that's on a competitive level. I just don't like to lose.
yeah, I'm also quite a vintage aficionado.
Yep.
Or,
No, for sure. And I mean, I think you're up there in the, if there was a number of, 4-0s and 3-1s of all time, you'd probably be top 5 for sure. So definitely a serious grinder.
yeah, my pet deck is probably Dever. I just like, well, I like the aggressive touch and I like drawing cards and countering spells and running on a low mana base, even though sometimes it just flood away. But I guess that's a situation which is quite useful.
Right, and I think I should go back and say that my pet decks are always blue, black, and green, from Landstill to the Tassiger Berg that I'm running now.
Bird deck, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, and not only that, even old school extended Gifts Rock was black, blue, green with some white. So I mean, it's my spirit animal.
Yeah, I also used to run Buck style decks in the past, but I think the meta has changed and they're not. Even though Zach is putting up amazing results with it, I don't think the meta is that good for them. But yeah, we are going to talk about that later. So yeah, maybe we're just moving to Josh.
Yeah.
All right. I am Josh. You can find me in Vintage Dailies on the weekends. And other than that, I'd say all of us, for the most part, spend more time playing limited than we do vintage. But that's sort of a symptom of the format itself.
Yeah, I mean, if you only have 2 vintage tournaments each weekend or each day of the weekends, and the times don't always fit your schedule.
Definitely. And if there's a grind, it's going to be a 5 limited event night or something like that.
Absolutely.
I'll play pretty much anything.
Literally.
Walkers are definitely a favorite. Last night, anyone who watched saw some
Josh
pretty
is
ridiculous things.
Josh is definitely our Johnny when it comes to deck building. He's very open-minded for new ideas. He's trying out 8-mana planeswalkers like Eugen and really weird. What was it? You tried Wildfire yesterday?
Yeah, were you still here when we won a match? Oh, I think you left, but we took out all the good cards and put in more bad cards.
Wow.
Really crushed someone.
Josh was playing.
I hope you build a Kai Booty style Wildfire control deck.
Dude, Josh was pillaging and stone raining, and then and he played Covetous Dragon against somebody, and he got really just a big smiley face.
I know. It was so amazing.
So yeah, Josh is definitely the Johnny, and Josh is also the guy most likely to play any given deck on any given day. Like me, you probably are pretty sure I'm blue, black, green, or dredge or something like that. David, something really, really spiky because he's a piece. But Josh, it could be Stags, it could be a blue deck, it could be a fish deck, it could be a mono white artifact deck. It could be anything. It could
be Stags with colors.
Right, it could be 5C Stags.
Well, it could be just the best deck occasionally, or it could be something I just feel like playing.
I'd also like it mentioned that Josh's main distinction, and David will back me up on this, I'm pretty sure Josh is the only person ever to money a vintage event with Archivist.
That's true. I did do that.
You win. Not classic vintage. Yeah, we play real decks. I can confirm that.
It was weird.
You got an Archivist active in the server. I don't know how that happened, but
it's pretty good.
It shouldn't happen. It definitely shouldn't happen, but when you've got a bunch of Thalias or whatever running
was
around.
Just all counter spells and we had a Cavern of Souls.
Well, I think it's important here that we talk about what our show will be about. I mean, we all kind of have our ticks and our tacks and what we're good at. And really for this show, we want to make this a live interaction show. We want to build up our community, and our real vision is, our show is half content that we generate and half content that the community wants to hear about by live tweets, or even eventually we hope to have a call-in on the show. But until then, any likes, comments, subscriptions, anything you guys can do for us to let us know what you want to hear about. If you agree with the direction we're going, if you have something you want to hear about, our comment section under our articles is the #1 place to get feedback on that. If you could subscribe, if you could like, and if you could tell us what we're doing right and wrong, we'd appreciate it. However, what's our show going to be about, guys? Like, I mean, what would you say is kind of like the 30K perspective? If we're looking at our show from the outside looking in, and you wanted to tell somebody in a minute or less what it was about, what would you say, David?
Well, we will mostly be a vintage-related podcast. At least we will try to do that. The problem is, of course, that vintage is by itself quite a stale format. So we are probably not talking about vintage in depth every week or every month. But yeah, we will mostly touch vintage, but we will also go in depth into the newest limited formats.
Right.
And we're going to head slightly into the modern world, into the legacy world, into the paper world. Check out some latest tournaments, some cool tech.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool way for us to let you guys know what we're going to be about on the front side, because a lot of people expect one thing, and they're like, hey, we're not getting enough vintage. Hey, we're not getting enough limited. We really kind of want to bring you guys all facets. I mean, without being that guy who knows a little about nothing and a lot about nothing, or a little about a lot and a lot about a little. We'd like to kind of like let you guys know that our perspectives are pretty varied. As far as limited goes, I mean, it's one of those things where we all really enjoy the newer formats. I will say the one that I missed, David, the Tempest Remastered, I didn't play any. How many of those did you play?
Oh, really? Oh, I think I only played like 2, but despite all the rarity changes, it didn't feel that much different than the old Tempest.
Yeah, I mean,
it was quite weird. I just play. I don't know. I felt like after playing 2 drafts, I felt like, yeah, okay, this is boring. This is like the old Tempest, but without the flavor, without the memories that it evokes.
Yeah.
I started doing that time. So Tempest packs and Urza packs have some kind of mystic attached to them. So, but yeah, all these new border cards. I mean, they have this super new border that the one that we have since, I think,
it's ugly.
2015.
It's really bad.
Well, I don't know. I'm already used to it by now, but yeah, I'm still missing the retro feeling.
Josh,
and,
what do you think?
Well, I personally, as far as Tempest Remastered goes, I sold all of my packs while they were still actually worth something.
Yeah,
now that they've fallen to nothing.
Yeah, I also did so.
It's weird, I thought about Tempest Remastered and I saw it right away, and I thought to myself, this really reminds me of VMA. Now, VMA, I think we should touch on real quickly, was the weirdest of any limited release in my history of playing this game. I don't know if you guys share the same perspective on this, but Vintage Masters, if we want to roll back a little bit, it started out as a 2 to 6 week event, and then I was one of the.
What it started out as until October, and then they suddenly changed.
From when though? I mean, what wasn't it like? Was it June to October?
Yeah, it started June to October. Then they said it would end at the end of June, and then everyone was like, "What the hell?" And they switched it back.
Right. Okay. That's okay. So that's exactly what it was. So, in a way, I think we all kind of accidentally made it worse. The economy, the number of cards, and everything else. At the same time, I will say, over time, it's made the format a lot more accessible to everybody. And why is that, you say? Well, it's a non-redeemable set, so you don't have the normal interest from collectors and whatnot that you do in most sets. Secondarily, there were so many of these opened at such a high price that drafting it became really hard to support unless you were winning a lot, right, guys? I mean,
winning nearly everyone. I mean, just buying one more pack at 7 ticks. I mean, you have the same problem now with Modern Masters.
Yeah, and the worst part,
expensive to draft.
Absolutely, and things like cards that their cachet has just been completely taken away. Like, just as my favorite example, the card that I opened more than anybody in the history of the world, the card that Evil Mono still jokes with me about on stream. Check out our Twitch stream, by the way. Taiga. Taiga is one of those cards. It's a
worthwhile.
$2, maybe $2.
Yeah, right around 2.
I mean, this is a card that was worth, even though it wasn't like a tier 1 dual land, it was $14 to $16 for as long as I can remember, right?
Yep, all the bad duels were right in that range.
I mean, Plateau was worse than that. It was maybe 8 to 11, but
no. Plateau was at worst time before it got reprinted. It was like, maybe 14.
Yeah, it was.
I think
they were all over $10.
Yeah, they were all over $10 for sure.
That's the problem, though, in a nutshell with vintage and kind of what happened to it, and that was more of a microcosm. The real macro is the price of power and what's happened to it. If you're listening now, right? If you somehow came across our podcast and you don't know much about online Magic, I will absolutely be the first to tell you that now is the best time you will ever have to get your power.
Hopefully.
What is a Lotus is under $110 now.
You never know. I mean, maybe it's even worth less in 2 weeks or something. For whatever reason. I mean, that's what's weird for me. I mean, the set has been out of print for how many months now, and prices are actually still declining.
It's, the only thing is it's got to hit that critical mass where either A, it becomes more popular, or B, there just aren't enough for the number of people who want them. And right now there aren't enough people who want. It's weird. Legacy to me is so much more of a grind format because each one of the decks has their ability to kind of like, from elves to counterbalance to, all these tier 1 decks have multiple ways to annoy the crap out of you. And vintage just to me seems more like one of those formats where you can almost play whatever you want. I mean, even the idiots like Montolio play one deck only. You know what I mean? You don't need a varied like play skill or play style to play vintage, in my opinion. What do you guys think? I mean, compared to other formats like Legacy and whatnot, don't you think vintage should be on an upward trajectory?
The barrier to vintage is not play skill. It's just cost. Because standard is still hard. The best players play standard.
I mean, the most expensive deck in standard costs not even 300 takes, but in vintage, I think no matter if you want to play shops or whatever, you have to pay at least like 700, 800 takes.
That's such a weird... So this is another principle in Magic, though, right? Yeah, you pay 300 on a standard deck, right? And you pay 700 on a vintage deck. But there's a huge difference on the time value of your currency. Like your standard, that money you spend on standard. What?
Yeah, but the problem is you can play multiple standard tournaments.
And win, right, I agree. But not everybody is like you and is going to be making a lot of money in events. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it works perfectly for most vintage players because they don't play tons.
Yeah, sure, but even then, the problem is that for the standard players, they have to invest less, and they can't play as much. They probably can't even play on the weekends, so they're maybe looking for something they can play every day. I don't know. At least you can also find 8-man standard queues at every time. How often did you see a vintage 8-player queue fire?
Never.
Never?
Never.
Yep, never.
Well, I mean, part of that is...
I just want to piggyback on going over what the show is about, though, before we go too far into the vintage meta and all this.
The show is definitely about discussions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think one of the things we were most excited about moving away from Yawgmoth's soap opera was the freedom that it gives us. And like we said, we'll be able to talk about anything we want without people having expectations about exactly what we need to talk about. But we'll call a spade a spade. So if someone's acting like a dick,
yeah,
they're going to hear about it.
For sure. And I think, thank you so much for bringing that point up. I think one of the great things about our show that you don't have on a lot of other shows is we're not going to be politically correct. We're never going to be politically correct. You're going to...
We have to be because we're still on YouTube. And...
No. We have to be civil. We do not have to be politically correct.
Okay.
The problem is, if we don't agree with you, like Josh said, we'll tell you we don't agree with you. I have no idea how you guys feel about this, so please butt in. But one of my main things I can't stand when you read any article or any tweet or anything else about Magic is that it's this expectation that you have a magical fairyland and everyone says hello and good game and good luck and you're friendly. Guess what, bro? I want you to have no luck. I want to completely dominate you. I want to take every pack that you think you're going to win and put it in my case. I don't want you to have any luck. Am I going to be nice if you're respectful? Yeah, I'll be nice. But in the back of my head,
you're a bully from the schoolyard.
Right. In the back of my head, though, I'm thinking to myself, the only reason I'm playing this game is to beat you. Okay, I want to win, and I'm not playing to. If I want to go have fun, I'll hang out, with
my friends.
Yeah, I mean,
fun, drink some.
Right. I'm playing this game to make my collection better. I'm playing the game because it's enjoyable to me to win. Some people just like to play. I get it, and that's totally cool. But I'm not like that at all. If I play and I'm not winning, I'm not having fun.
If you win, you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose, you're
angry.
Shit.
Yeah, completely. What about you, Josh?
Better don't mess around with a.
I like to win. I like to win in a cool way sometimes, but I still definitely want to win.
I think it's interesting, and one of the things that you'll see along the lines of this show is Josh is really. This is something I really respect about him, is he is very reserved as far as like getting angry and showing emotion. David and I know when he's angry, but the person he's playing against, they don't usually know. I mean, they probably have a feeling because they're winning or whatever it is, if that's the case. But David and I are more likely to be like volcanoes and yelling at people and telling them they're so bad, which is a bad quality. And I completely admit that that's a bad quality. But, Josh said, call a spade a spade. I'm being completely honest. That's how I am, and I can't help it.
If I fought away, I can at least tell my opponent that he would just have to play bird spell at me because I'm at 4 life and none of my creature.
Right. Completely fair. Completely fair.
You guys know how mad I have to be to say anything to someone, though. So.
Yeah, and I quoted the other day, and the entire time I've known and hung out with Josh, which has been a pretty good while now. How many times have you gone out on a limb and yelled at somebody? Like 3?
Probably about that.
About 3 times, and I've done 10 plus in one night before. So,
we are talking about 2 drafts here.
Dude, the worst, if you guys remember, and I think you were both around for this, that time when I was trying to get my 15th QP with M15 draft, or it was M14.
Always gets the worst.
And dude, the Death Touch Spider with Indestructibility, if you guys remember that night,
Spider with the 4 mana achievement?
Yeah. I completely lost it. Like, I went volcano eruption, screamed for like, hours, slamming my computer. I think I broke a keyboard. Yeah, it was a bad night. But hey, we all have our flaws, right?
It's true. Me, but I mean, sure.
Well, the other cool thing is David's going to kind of be our field reporter in that, he does play a lot of paper and we don't. One of the ideas I had, and I haven't fully run it past the guys, I've mentioned it to David. He thought it would be a cool idea, and I'll mention it to Josh now. And if you guys have any thoughts on this, please let me know. While I don't play in paper, I live in Southern California, so I'm around a lot of big shops and stuff like that and places where people play. So I'm thinking about eventually, maybe as a segment on the show, going in and kind of, recording what goes on in one of these shops around me and seeing what it's like in the paper world compared to my experiences in the online world. And I think it'd be interesting for me just because I haven't seen the paper interaction since
I think you should join a paper draft.
Yeah, for sure.
Record the whole thing.
Dude, do you know how angry I'll get in person?
Dude, a paper draft isn't as slow as a moto draft. Really.
Are you serious?
Dude, I'm serious.
Why are you so serious? Oh!
Where'd you get that?
Yeah, so I think it'd be cool though. I mean, what do you think, David? That'd be kind of a cool thing to see, right?
Of course. Just cut something together and make a cool video out of your and the players' paper experience. Ask them whether they play Modo or not, and if they enjoy it, and what they like more, paper or Modo, and for what reasons. And yeah, check out the store.
Yeah, people love being on camera too, so I think it's kind of a neat thing to see.
Our field reporter, Zach.
Yeah. Don't be rude to the field reporter. Yeah. I'll say it again, and I think it's really important. If you are checking out this show right now, please, we're trying to build our audience, and we want to let you guys know. Please like our video, follow us, subscribe, follow our Twitch channel, our Instagram, our Twitter. Really, really big deal to us. We want to get this thing going. Thank you so much in advance. Josh, what do you think about the vintage meta and what we're going to be seeing? What's been going on now, and what do you think people should expect if they were going to talk about this?
Well, right now there's not a tremendous amount to prepare for. You're looking at seeing a lot of stacks. I mean, there's Dredge out there. The good news with Dredge is you know exactly the players that are playing it. There's not a lot of surprise with that one.
Agree.
Whereas
Sand crap
occasionally surprise you.
Yeah.
And also then, and the rest of the meta is either Delver or Mentor, and usually Mentor right now because people are loving that card.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty strange one in and of itself, because while Mentor is way more powerful once it gets resolved, it's so much harder to resolve.
Well, according to MTG Goldfish, they're pretty much on par. There's like 15.5% Dever and
Really?
15% Mentor. They list Mentor for whatever reason as both Mentor control and Wubr, WUBR, for whatever reason. I don't really understand it. Someone probably submitted it wrong and whatever. And yeah, I mean, you do have to understand that the meta game of Goldfish is a bit skewed towards the latest winning decks. Shops is of course in first place, followed by Dever and then Oath, and then for whatever reason there are two Mentor decks, so it's more like Workshop, Dever, Mentor, and then Oath. And Oath is probably just one player who's on a pretty good streak lately.
Who?
Who could it be? Alexandrino, of course. Our Brazilian friend. Hello, Alexandrino.
Yeah, I think Oath is kind of an afterthought. I hear that Alexandrino plays it.
It's like Snapkey played it last, and then Alexandrino has 3 results, and Rack Doctor, then Alexandrino 1, 2, 3, 4 results.
Well, the problem with Oath is I just don't think that Oath has the same problem that Bug has, which is good luck keeping up with their draw engine.
Yeah, I mean, either you get out of an Oath or card early,
or you're going to lose.
The problem with Oath is even if it goes away for a while, people don't stop mitigate or building their sideboards against it because they're just they're just accidentally building their sideboards already to beat Oath. So
well, I think the biggest problem for Oath is just the printing of Grafdigger's Cage.
No. I don't even think that Grafdigger's Cage is a big problem for Oath. I mean, Oath has other ways to win, Walkie and Jays and
show and tell. I hear you, but why don't they call it key show and tell? I mean, they don't call the deck that. They call the deck Oath for a reason, because they're playing Forbidden Orchards, they're playing Oath, and that's the easiest way for them to get out their creatures. Those are all secondary.
They also have Abrupt Decay.
Sure.
They have a ton of answers.
Sure.
They can also misstep it. So I don't think that Oath is concerned with. Ask Alexandrino.
You're so crazy, though. You almost forgot your whole experience. What was your problem playing Oath, David?
Oh, the inconsistency.
Right.
Still got shit.
So you're like, well, every deck has an answer to it, but Oath has so many ways around it. Well, the problem is Oath's playing cards like Forbidden Orchard to do their answers, and sometimes they're just losing to tokens, or sometimes they can find half of the key combo, but they don't have the consistency that other key decks have, like Tezzeret and all that. So I think Oath is the problem for me is Oath is too unfocused. I think in a format right now like Stacks, Delver, I mean these decks are doing one thing and they do it really well. And Oath is like, I do a lot of things pretty good.
By the way, I just recognized that there's an even higher workshop penetration than listen because there's
a sub list
first place listed, yeah, at nearly 90%, but there's also a deck called B, but it listens.
Oh yeah, because it's got,
Shadows of the White
it's got a
Sword
metamorph in it, so it always gets listed
so
with the
I
mana
guess
symbol now.
that shops as well. And at the bottom, yeah, and at the bottom there's also a deck called Workshops
Oh man,
with a Metal Worker and Arcbone Ravager and Expedition.
No one plays that crap though.
But whatever, yeah, but it's still 2%, so it's another 6%. So you're at at nearly 25 already. But there's also a deck.
yeah, it's kind of cool, man. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming up and out with Vintage. I mean, it stays so static. I mean, it takes cards like Dig Through Time to change the format. And if you're looking to get into Vintage, you can be pretty assured that the decks aren't going to change too much unless there's a restriction or a banning.
You know, here's the problem. So people are, of course, talking about possible future bans and restrictions. Well, just restrictions and unrestrictions in Vintage, of course. And yeah, they all consider something to get restricted soon. I mean, they either think Gash or Dig Through Time.
Not Gush.
You know, the thing is that even if Dig gets restricted, it doesn't change that much.
Well, surely. Not even. Seriously? Like,
So.
if Dig is the only card that makes it so Notion Thief isn't the like real silver bullet to a lot of these decks. Dig is the only card.
Well, okay, that's the okay. I guess I can see that Notion Thief gets a bit better.
A bit? What doesn't it? Right.
It's a lot of one mana answers. Still, you know, I'm just saying. It's not like a super answer because it's quite expansive by itself.
If I was running the format, which would probably be bad for everyone, because then black, blue, green decks would be the best of all time ever.
Dude, I'm not saying that Bag or Berg wouldn't get better.
I will say this. If I was running the format and I was doing the restrictions, what I think you could do today to make the format about 10 times healthier is you could restrict 2 cards. You could restrict Dig Through Time, and you could restrict Lodestone Golem, and you'd be done. You'd be done. I mean, it would be a whole new format. Would it be better? I don't know. You'd still have 1 Dig and 1 Treasure Cruise, so that's half the slots that people are using now. I mean, could you find other cards to fill that in blue decks? Sure. At the same time, the scariest thing that you can see when you're playing against a blue deck is all of a sudden their graveyard starts having cards turn red or green. I mean, that is like, oh man, we know what's happening now. You know what I'm saying? So with shops, having a kill condition on a lock piece, I've said from day one, is just like, tell me one other card in one other deck or format that does that. That's a kill condition and it does what the deck wants it to. I mean,
it's like having a Dabber and draw a card.
Right, a Delver that draws for you.
Dabber with super cycling or something.
It's crazy. I mean, it just doesn't make much sense. The card's always good for them. And by the way, the worst part about it is that it's a lock piece for every other deck, but it completely gives you carte blanche because you play no non-artifacts. So it's literally a one-sided lock piece in addition to being a kill condition. So I don't know, Josh, what would you do today to change the format?
Well, I mean, if they restrict Lodestone, they'd have to restrict Consecrated Sphinx, because that's a kill condition that does exactly what blue wants.
The problem is we don't have a land that makes 2 blue and 1, so.
Yeah, I just like them when they print new sets to keep Vintage in mind, and I like seeing things like the Delve mechanic come back. That's obviously going to be a player in Vintage. I find that an interesting way to shake up the format rather than having to remove decks. Just shops is tough right now. It's really a ridiculous deck at the moment.
Do you think deck Faden becomes better or worse with kind of the prevalence of stacks? I mean, that's been the card that over the last year has had probably one of the biggest impacts on the format. Do you think that's a card that gets played more or less if stack sees restrictions?
Dak Faden is so ridiculously good against stacks. Like, they will almost concede if you just play a Dak Faden, and it shows how good stacks is right now that they can just continue to win even with as many Dak Fadens out there as there are.
Right. David?
So I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, Dak Faden is a good card if you ever get it to play, but mostly you're not doing that. I mean, I pitched it more often to force. I just sat there in my hand thinking, just one more land. Come on, just one more land. And now you play the Never Sphere. Drawn the land. Just one more land. Just one more land. Oh no, may no more, please, no.
Yeah. That is all too common.
I mean, yeah, Dak is super strong if it hits the battlefield. But there's a big if, and that big if is, I mean,
It
3
rarely
mana
happens.
is easily 4, is easily 5, is easily 6 mana.
And now everyone plays Revokers again, and they just name Dak Faden right away. And
yeah, and getting
just
rid
in
of Revoker
case.
is sometimes hard, especially if they have a chalice on 1 or something. Yeah, so I definitely also think that Shop could definitely lose a card, or, well, not lose. I mean, they could still play 1 Golem, and I think 1 Golem is fine. I mean, if they have the nut draw, they probably win.
Do what they used to do and play a Golem and 3 Juggernauts. That would be much more fair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If they first have to waste some time playing Sears, so maybe if I can at least cast some cantrips and maybe try to dig out, or they don't have any clock on the battlefield, and I have more turns to draw or something, the game it gets more fair. And
dude, I forgot about that. Whatever happened to that card, Josh?
Juggernauts?
It's a really bad card, Slash Panther.
That was just Slash Panther.
It was a real joke of a deck, and I don't know why people picked up on it.
Well, I remember. No. I remember that Slash Panther was kind of an answer to Jace, but then I have to wonder about how does Jace enter the battlefield in the first place. I guess
Jace should just never enter the battlefield.
Yeah, it must have been a sideboard card for games where you're on the draw and your opponent could just lock into Jace on turn 1 or turn 2. That's the only possible way I could think of it, because, well, I mean, Resolve Jace is pretty tough to beat for Shops.
Totally.
But if Shops is on the play, Jace should usually never resolve. And if it resolves, any other creature should do it as well, even though no other creature does it as well as a haste guy, even though it only deals 4. So if they plus Jace, they get another turn.
What a shame.
Yeah.
They'd be able to bounce your haste guy.
Right. I don't really think Shops is going to have a lot of things changed right away. When is the next restriction, David? What's the time on it?
It's the time when Magic Origins releases.
Is that like midsummer or something?
It's in 1 month, like mid-July.
Mid-July. Okay. Well, we're going to keep our eyes open for that, and we'll
like
obviously
5 or 6 weeks, I think.
We'll obviously be kind of keeping a close eye on that. I wonder, and we've talked about this a lot, if Wizards even where they pull their data from when they decide whether or not to restrict a card. I mean, what are they doing for that? Where are they pulling that info from? From online results, from paper results? No one really knows, and that's
Often they used online results, like they justified the banning of, I think, Seething Song in Modern with online results. Winted that Storm was killing way too often on turn 2 or something with a Seething Song, or too consistently on turn 2 or 3.
right.
I mean, the online data, they just have ridiculous amounts of just raw data feeding in every day that they can look at. So
yeah.
Well, we've long said since the days of the first days of Vintage. I mean, remember how good the reporting was in the first few days when they were reporting on every daily and you could find anything? And then all of a sudden they're like, well, you know what we've decided to do is we're going to randomly pick one daily event. Sometimes it wasn't even the one with more people. It was just like a random daily event. And they would post that for the day. So people like us lose out on so much data. I mean, we've said from the beginning we wish they'd publish it. So, yeah, nothing's happened on that front, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Probably never will.
Would they? They're they're probably not really customer friendly.
Oh, really? Well, I will say this.
Proprietary information, guys.
Anybody who is watching this, one of the things that we're going to be doing, and granted this is cheeky and completely a way for us to build our user base, but we're going to be doing a really cool giveaway. We're going to be giving away a piece of foil power, a foil Mox Emerald, as well as a foil Lion's Eye Diamond, the VMA version, sadly. But we'll be giving away both of those to a random subscriber on one of our 4 social media platforms. Really on 2, because we have 2 giveaways, and we're going to pick one for each. So if you get a chance and you want to win a free foil Mox or foil LED, make sure to follow us and subscribe on Twitch, on YouTube, on Instagram. Our name is WSS Podcast, and on Twitter, our name is WSS Podcast. So make sure to follow us on all 4, and you will be entered to win one of those. Yeah, really appreciate it if you guys would. And I'll tell you what, I'd love a chance at a free Mox Ruby foil. So give it a shot.
We'll be doing a live drawing once we get our numbers achieved, and
right,
it'll be exciting.
Right. Yeah. Make sure to keep up with us, because we will be doing that, and you will be notified via the platform that you went on. So make sure that you're active.
Make sure to subscribe to us on every platform, and yeah, once we reach the 100, we will do a live drawing.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. So somebody's gonna be a happy dude. In the paper world, speaking of happy dudes, last week there was a pro tour, and there was a big kerfluffle regarding Pascal Maynard. He was in a top 8 draft on, was it a pro tour or was it GP Vegas?
No, it was just a Grand Prix. Yeah.
Right. So it was a Grand Prix, top 8, and there are hundreds of people, probably thousands of people watched him on live stream. And the dude gets his pack and he looks at it, and he puts it down for a second and he looks at it again. And then you see it's not just a Tarmogoyf, it's a foil Tarmogoyf. And David, what are those worth in the paper world?
Probably like $400-$500.
Right. So it's basically the Chase's Chase card in the set, right?
Chase's Chase card that's in print right now. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's the equivalent of foil Jace back in the day. Basically, it's like hitting the lottery, right? It's literally hitting the lottery. And these guys, what are they playing for? What's top prize? Like $4,000 bucks?
Well, I mean, he was playing for more. He was also playing for an invitational to the Magic Worlds, and to become the #1 seed in his country for the Magic World Cup or something. So there was more on him for the line than just blue money. But yeah, of course, I mean, it's like a secured $400, and you think, well, I mean, it's just a common, and the cards are all quite strong, so getting a deck together shouldn't be much of a hassle, and just getting the 23 or 24 or 25 playbles shouldn't be that hard, and there are a lot of quality cards, and does one card even matter? I mean, what if you just don't draw it if it's important anyway? So there's a lot of variance attached to it, and it's just to save 400 or 500.
Totally.
And he made up even more.
Yeah.
What would you do, Josh?
Can't go wrong. I'd take that card.
I'd take it in a heartbeat. And not only that, I'd take it and I'd flip off the camera, because if somebody's talking shit, I don't really care. Because
And flip off the camera.
yeah, look, dude, this is a collectible card game, right? Not only that, I think it's worth noting that due to this controversy and due to this guy putting himself out there a little bit, isn't this thing like for way more than the sticker value right now? Isn't it like thousands of dollars right now on eBay?
I think it's at 60,000, or it was 16,600 or something when I looked it up earlier.
That's an effing car, okay?
To be fair, I mean, he's spending most of it to charity.
Yeah, and it's a really cool thing he's doing. I think it's nice. I do think he's going to keep half of it, so he's still making a ton of money over face value.
Well, I think he updated his eBay that I think everything will go to charity.
Oh, that's even nicer. Well, he's nicer than I would be. I'd give like 10%. Yeah.
Well, he's definitely boosting his name in the community. I think that's worth a lot.
Sure it is. I mean, there's a lot of people that like
so I
those.
guess it's worth to him like 16,000 or.
It's not worth that to me. I'd say thank you, community.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think any one of us. Am I wrong by saying any one of us would take that on, no matter what the stage is?
Yeah, I would take it for sure. It's guaranteed money.
Dude, for sure.
David, World Championships.
Dude, whatever. I mean, if I open a valuable card, that's like a guaranteed at least $20 or something.
David's like rare draft in a freaking Hercules recall and Modern Masters draft and like a green black sack.
I probably wouldn't take a $3. I'm playing with cards that goes in the Pro Tour draft that just tables. Like, you could even consider something like a dual land. Like, if there's a dual land or a really strong uncommon or whatever in the pack, you often take the uncommon, and someone else gets the dual land quite late.
Right.
Like pick 6 or pick 7, because no one cares about the $5 or whatever it's worth.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, I mean, if I get something like, I mean, at the Pro Tour you usually don't get foils, so they only did it for the Modern Masters draft because, well, that's one of the features of Modern Masters, a foil in each pack.
Really?
But usually they remove the foils. Yeah.
That's
And most cards that are worth a lot are usually pretty strong cards in draft as well, like dragons or recurable creatures.
Right.
Which has really strong effects like Cryptic Command.
Right. No, that's
if you pick these up at draft, you're not unhappy.
Totally. So I think we all would be in the same boat on that. I don't think the guy did anything wrong, and I think the community kind of should be ashamed. I've heard the most about Owen Turtenwald talking a lot of crap, and honestly,
yeah, but they all apologized already.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, yeah, you're wrong. I saw about eBay auction it. Yeah, it was fucking wrong. Definitely always take the fucking rare.
Yeah. Hopefully they learned.
Take the rare.
Well, David, you wanted to touch up on what?
Yeah, something that we will go more in depth next week or whenever our next shows. It's about maybe a possible banning of Brainstorm in Legacy. I say possible because the community is talking fires about it, but there's no real consensus about it and whether Brainstorm should be banned or not. There are a lot of defenders and a lot of people just say, well, Brainstorm is just, it goes into every deck, and like 80% of the decks on Magic Online play Brainstorm, so something is definitely wrong. I mean, there's a very big blue penetration, and there are just very few non-blue decks that can catch up, like Death in Texas or Elves or something like Lands. Some very few fringe decks, but most top decks, or even most better fringe decks, like Brainstorm goes into so many decks, like foot chain decks, but it also fuels all the strong decks like Dev or Miracles or combos. So.
What do you think about like the idea of Brainstorm being that powerful in a format without several cards that are so necessary? Like, one of the reasons Brainstorm is so good in Vintage is because you have power. You can literally find something and keep your turn going. Whereas in Legacy, I mean,
the problem is when in Legacy you don't have power, you still have a lot of really strong cards, and you're also able to, get rid of bad cards or situational cards and get a new hand. You can shuffle them away with fetch lands.
There's also no misstep in the format. That must help.
Brainstorm has just a lot of value and attached to it, and it decreases variance. So it's a card that you should like a lot, because usually the guy who casts more Brainstorms more likely to win, right?
Well, I'm definitely not saying I don't. I absolutely miss the days when we were in Classic and you were able to play 4 Brainstorms and even 4 Library of Alexandria. But having said that, even in the decks that ran it, sometimes 4 Brainstorms isn't enough.
The problem is we have to consider just one thing. Does Brainstorm make the format more diverse or not? And I'm not really sure what the answer is. I mean, as I said, Brainstorm fuels a lot of decks, but then if you cut the Brainstorm, a lot of these shaky decks like Foot Chain Combo just fall apart. And even Miracles would lose a lot of strength. So.
But does it make it more diverse or not? I mean, you could ask that same question.
That's a question. Maybe it allows other decks like Green White or Zoo or June or whatever gets to play more often.
But then if that's a real debate, right, and people are asking that question, then you tell me how Mental Misstep is still alive in Vintage. Because you talk about a deck that makes things less diverse.
Yeah, dude, because Vintage is totally different. In Vintage, they want us to have answers. They only ban threats. Look at the ban or at the restricted list and tell me how many of these cards are answers to something. they're all threats, right?
Yeah.
What card can you think up, or can you think of right now that's on restricted list, but that's designed more of an answer?
Demonic Tutor.
Sure, yeah. These cards
Black
are super,
Lotus,
super.
Mox.
You guys are
and the
not
other
funny.
Mox.
They're all super oppressive.
Yeah.
Oh, so they
You
don't
would never
do
get
anything
another
on their
turn,
own,
Josh.
though. Time Walk. You can't win. You're just taking.
I'm sure you could
turns.
unrestrict Time Twister, but Time Twister has to stay restricted. Or 9 cards for whatever reason, because it was what it has been.
I'd play 4 of them. That'd be fun.
I don't know. I mean, I can see completely the argument for it. You know, being oppressive and being that card that everybody's like, oh god, another brainstorm. And I mean, it really reminds me of Dig right now. It's like, oh god, another Dig. Oh god, another Dig. Oh god, another Dig. You know, every time you play against a blue deck, it's really scary. I mean, by the way, you can see it on our channel, but one of the vintage DEs that we posted from yesterday, David, you were there with me. How scary was it every time I was at 1 life and he was sitting there and he dug twice? Do you remember that? He dug twice for bolts, and we were like, oh god, he's for sure found it. He didn't. But that feeling, that oppressive feeling of somebody playing the same card over and over and knowing you don't have an answer for it, like No Misstep and Legacy, I definitely think it's worth some extended conversation, and we'll check it out next week. Will you maybe bring some results of Legacy and let us know what's been doing well and what plays Brainstorm and what doesn't?
No.
Come on. Cool. All right. Well, I mean, with that, I think that's pretty much the brunt of our first episode. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add before we wrap this up?
Nope. I can't wait to see where we go going forward. Hopefully, everyone keeps coming back. We'll start building an audience and having actual fan discussion. You know, not every week then needs to be just us sitting here and talking about what we've prepared, but we can answer whatever anyone wants to discuss.
Right.
I just can add that I definitely, or we all definitely want your points of view.
Yeah, we want your feedback. Make sure
we want your feedback, so definitely write something in the commentary.
What you did like, what you didn't like, what we should do better.
Well, maybe what direction we could go, and
what would keep you coming back?
Yeah, don't forget to hit on liking and
subscribe.
Put a thumbs up, subscribe.
Yeah,
it helps.
And check out our other platforms. And don't forget about the Foil Emerald.
Yeah, Foil Mox. Make sure you're on all 4 channels. Thank you guys so much for showing up. I will see both of you gentlemen here next week.
Yeah, and we'll see both of you gentlemen next week as well. What a coincidence.
Well,
I can't wait, David.
Thank you.
Josh.
Thank you guys for showing up for our first show. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.